Hey guys, good evening and welcome to this week's stream. I hope you're all doing well. I see there's quite a few people already in chat. Keyhive, welcome to the stream, and thank you very much for the Twitch Prime sub. I saw that a few minutes ago. George was here first, so evening George. Congratulations on being first. Good evening to I Am Karcher, Anarchy, Enemy's Friend, Himps, R6, Satanicist, and whoever else is in chat as well. I hope everyone's having a really good evening today. Satanic is saying evening as well. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the stream today. We will be building today the Keyhive Nightmare, which is a TMO 50 kind of layout, but in a 3D printed case with custom PCB. So I'll be showing you guys that in a few minutes. It's a bit more involved than the usual builds because this one needs me to actually do the PCB as well. So we'll have to get through that too. What's a Keyhive and how does it nightmare? Well, we'll talk about that very shortly. But I think you know better than I do even, so there we go. I do have one question for you, so I'm glad you're here as well, Keyhive, because I need to make sure I get diode orientation correct, and I couldn't see it on the in the packet which way around to go. So Ixion as well with the 100 bits, thank you very much. Very much appreciate those bits. Always love the support, thank you very much guys. Whitsellers is here as well saying what's up y'all, what's up, and Jampot as well saying hello Jay, hello. Nice broad Yorkshire accent there for you. Okay, so looks like chat's doing okay. Let me know if the music in the background's too loud. I've literally just finished watching the Formula 1, so I know the stream was a little bit late today, but it is just because I was watching the Formula 1, and it was the US Grand Prix as well, so for those of you who haven't watched it, don't listen for the next 4 or 5 seconds. For those that you did, well, Lewis Hamilton is world champion, but he came second in the race, but it was a really good race either way, so there we go. Well, what you hear, Jampot, is you hear my what I call a BBC accent, which is how I speak at work. If I speak like I do with the rest of my family, well, it's a bit more broad Yorkshire like, innit? So, you know, two very different outputs, but yeah. Luke Helio's here as well, so welcome one and all. Looks like the bot's just pinged, so people should start to be coming in. You can see the build there as well. So we will be building a 3D printed TMO style board, which is called the Nightmare, and that's available from Keyhive. So the link is in the Nightbot description, I think, keyhive.xyz. So if you guys do want to go check this out after we've had a look at it, feel free to do so. I think for the price, it's an absolute bargain, so feel free to go and have a look and check the board out as well on Keyhive and support our vendors. Pilot XJ is here as well. Satanic is saying it's either the BBC accent or the Rain accent. Yeah, so for those that you don't know, Satanicist's girlfriend is called Rain. She's from roughly the same area of the UK as I'm from, so we've got very, very similar real accents. Undercover Brother says, good afternoon, night Jay. Yeah, it's 9 PM here, which is a little bit later than normal for me. Normally I start my streams at 8. Today I'm doing it at 9, purely because I was watching the Formula 1. Nightmare build at night, absolutely. Well, I thought the Nightmare build for Halloween, I know it's a few days ago, but you know, it kind of fits, it kind of works. So let's talk about switches first of all. So we will be using some vintage blacks. These are 125 gram springs in these, because I like to punish my fingers, especially on smaller boards. And they've been lubed with Krytox 104 on the housing and Krytox 106 on the spring. I did pull these from another build, so I have used these previously, and we're probably going to put a Hyros or Hirozi, as you want to call it, on the spacebar. In terms of the spacebar, we're going to be going with a 7U spacebar, because it fits and I like a 7U spacebar, but given the keyboard size, that might not be the right decision in the long term, so we'll see how that goes. Let's just see what else he's talking about in chat. Existentially So says, I'm still in the Halloween mood. Yes. And Langalandia here is here as well, so congratulations Langalandia on Cafe reaching over 1,000 base kits. Very, very happy for you to see that. 125 grams, now that's scary. Yeah, so I like heavy switches anyway, but usually about 70-80 grams. But I used to use these on a board for sending a certain type of work email whenever I was maybe frustrated, and this is going to be a travel board, so it means I can hit out some nice aggressive emails first thing in the morning whilst I'm traveling, so there we go. So let's take a look at the board, shall we? Because as I say, this builds a little bit more in depth, so I'm probably going to take a little bit longer to build it. The first thing is we have some stabilizers here. These again pulled from the same build as that, so we'll be changing the bar to a 7U bar rather than the 6.25, just a little bit longer. So we'll be doing that shortly. There's also a bag of goodies. So just looking in here, we have a few different bits and pieces. This is where I lose everything. Okay. So first of all, we have some screws, which are for the case to put it all together. Some of the screws have got caught in here, so I'm just going to fish these out. There we go. 5 screws. We've got some bump-ons, just normal bump-ons. Focuses, there you go. Just normal bump-ons for the base of the case. A nice Keyhive sticker, which will find its way onto my MacBook later on. Don't know if you guys can see it actually. It's just over here, but it's covered in keyboard-related stickers already. So yeah, we'll pop that on the Mac later on. We then got another screw. Then we've got all of the diodes needed, and Mr. Keyhive, Cody, I think he's around. This is where I'll need your expert opinion on which way around to put the diodes to make sure that they're all correct. I think I know, but we'll double check that when we get to the build. And then finally, we've got a Pro Micro type board, what is a Pro Micro, to use as our control board. So we'll be installing that as well. So we'll take this out of the packet. We'll have a look at it. Here we go. So first thing you can see, we've got the IC pins as standard, and we'll be mounting these as well and clipping them all nice and flush later on. So what we'll do is we'll mount these to the board first, and then we'll mount the Pro Micro last. That'll be the last thing we do. So all looking good there. Back bar goes towards the square hole. Yep, perfect. That's the way around I thought it was, because that's the way around the text is on the logo. But thank you very much for confirming that. Langlandy says, I think mine is being delivered tomorrow. I'm excited. Yeah, the board looks really good. Let's take a look at the board. Now we've looked at the stuff that comes with it. Let's take a look at the board. So as you can see, it's white. I think I asked Cody to pick a colour for me because I can never decide. So Cody picked white for me, which looks really, really nice. In terms of the case, you can see here that it is a tray mount, and that gives us access to screw the PCB down as well. You can see very much that it's the TMO50 style layout. You've got 4 macro keys here, 2 HHKB style blockers, a nice edging on the board here, nice bevel. And a nice thick bezel as well. You guys know I like bezels. The corners are quite interesting the way they're 3D printed. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit here. So you can see on the top we've got this nice crisp corner, but then on the actual case it's nice and rounded, which is kind of interesting. I kind of like that. So yeah, it's really nice and neat. And just to show you that edge on as well, it looks really nicely done from a 3D print perspective. Couple of minor little things in terms of the case as well. One of the lines here is just a little bit deeper. I don't know if I'm going to be able to show this on camera. I'm not sure if this is going to pick it up, but there's one line here that's kind of a little bit deeper all the way across. But it's fine. It's just where one layer of filament's not been laid down correctly. The rest of it looks great though. It's in really good condition. Once the board's built, I might sand it down and paint it or something like that later on. But as it is, I'm going to build it and see how it goes, and I think I'm going to be pretty happy with it. Also, nice texture on the inside as well. When I print on my 3D printer, I print on a glass bed, and it's always really flat and smooth. This has got a nice texture as well, so if you wanted to glue the case or something like that, you get much better adhesion. Just catch up with chat before we go any further. It's going to be a longest build stream. No, I think the longest was when I did the gingham and split that over 2 build streams. I think that was the longest single build. I hope this goes well. It'll be fine, dead easy. We'll have a look at the PCB in a second, Jump Up. Whitseller's subscribed at tier 1 as well, subscribed for 4 months now. Just finished watching the F1 2, love the Circuit of the Americas track, and board looks neat. Circuit of the Americas track is so good, but it's really bumpy. What happened to Vettel's car? Wow. Don't forget to do the switches under the Pro Micro first. Yeah, absolutely will do. So the plan I have for this is to put all the diodes in, to put all of the connectors in for the Pro Micro, then to put all my switches in, and then to put the Pro Micro on last. That's the order I'm going to be building it in. So if that's wrong, tell me now. It seems very well done indeed. It does. I'll show you the rest of the case in a second. It looks really good. Is this available to buy now? It was a group buy, so I think this is still available. It was available when I bought it a few weeks ago, so it looks really good. How would you rate the quality of the 3D print? I'm a fan of heavy, high infill 3D printed cases. To be honest, for all the keyboards I have and I've built, I've never built a 3D printed one before. This feels like quite solid infill. I'm going to guess 40%, something like that. It feels really solid and sturdy. There's very little twist in the case. There's a little bit, but not much. It feels really nice and robust, especially on the plate area. I haven't tried clipping switches into it yet, so we'll have a look at that when we get to the build. Gouty, checking what the build is. Yeah. You're showing off the HSA set yet later on? Yes, I have a full set of HSA. Apologies for the rattle. But this is a full set of HSA keycaps, the prototype keycaps. These will be going on the board. It's probably not the best board to show them off, but it kind of works because I've got these this week and I've got this board this week. So have a look at the keycaps, and I can always grab another board and pop them on there if you really want to see them on something else. Just can't got an ISO board because there's no ISO keys in the layout just yet, so it's an ANSI only set at the minute. But we will have a look at that towards the end. Regalicious says Nightmare Hype. Yes, Nightmare Hype. I'm really excited to build this board. I think it's going to be great. I think it's going to be really good. I'm really happy that Keyhive pointed out the switches under the Pro Micro. Yeah, so we'll talk about that in a second. I'll show you guys that. Chris Bezic is here as well, saying evening. Evening, man. Good to see you, dude. Regalicious says I've got one of those little guys. Great little board. Yeah. Okay, can I start with HSA? No, sorry, Pusher. I need to build the board and then get to HSA. That's the way it works, right? Okay, so let's take a look at the rest of the PCB. So as you can see, it's got the blockers here, no switches. There's a couple of different options for the bottom row. You can put stabilizers in a few different places, depending on whether you want 6.257U or split space, which is quite good. All the space is all the space bar switches go in different areas, so it's dead easy to pick and choose which you want to do on that. There's very little else in terms of compatibility. Kind of what you see is what you get. Those are the key sizes, and there isn't any other options on the board, which is fine. PCB standard thickness. Just turn it over. You can see the Society of the Crossed Keys, which is the Keyhive logo. Crossed Keys Nightmare Revision C, so I think this is the third revision of it. And then I can see a couple of people's names that you might recognise from chat just here, just on the PCB. If it decides to focus, there you go. So I can see a couple of you guys in the stream. So, oh no, 6.25U. Sorry. Okay, I did know there was a reason why I was taking the 6.25U, but yeah, there we go. Javon says, "Hey, Top Clack." Hey man, Jay, nice to meet you. And Flexman's here saying good evening as well. So yes, I'm really excited to build that. As you can see, this is where the Pro Micro goes. So the current plan is to pop all the diodes in first, solder them on this side, then clip them all nice and flush. Once we've done that, I'll then put the Pro Micro, the Pro Micro standoffs in. I don't know the names of them properly. The IC pins, these guys, I'll pop these in first, solder them on. Then we'll do all the switches, get it all aligned in the plate with the stabilizer and everything in place, and then from there we'll solder the Pro Micro on last. Just looking at the Pro Micro as well, it is USB-C, if you guys can see that, if it focuses. Come on, camera. Okay, it's focused on my fingernail and not on the PCB, but there you go. So the Pro Micro USB-C, but nice and easy to build and put away. Okay. 7U splits better for this layout, IMO. Yeah, so the 7U spacebar I think works best anyway, because you've got the two keys on either side. It looks much more, symmetrical, much neater, much tidier. Definitely prefer that bottom row anyway, but I like a 7U spacebar, so definitely going to go with that one. Just in terms of the base of the case, you can see there's a couple of signatures in here. I assume that's Cody's signature there, and then you've got the Keyhive logo here. Mount points spread throughout the board. 3D printed, these feel pretty solid. That one here has had some under extrusion issues. Don't know if the camera's picking that up, but it's still nice and solid either way. It's not going to move or give. It's solid throughout. It's just on the outside layers. USB-C port there, looking nice and neat and tidy. Pretty happy with this. 3D print is really good. Really, really happy with the quality. Really nice. Yeah, so yeah, you could quite easily paint these if you wanted to sand them down, paint them, whatever you need to. Yeah, thoroughly happy with the 3D print quality. Okay, so that's the board as it is. Let's just catch up with chat again, because chat's been going a little bit nuts. Vettel's car looked like Red Bulls in 05 and 07. Yeah, I don't know what happened to that. The rear suspension snapping was dangerous. Meister Grinceppo is here as well. Or is it micro, not USB-C? Oh yeah, so Wadio is correct. It is micro, not USB-C. That's me not looking at it properly. Yeah, micro USB. Which means I'm going to have to see if I've got a cable for that. Let's start off with finding a cable for it. I must have one somewhere. Okay. Not to hand. I know I literally had. Oh, I do have one. I do have one. There we go. There we go. Cable to hand. Problem solved. We can definitely do that. Damn YubiKey. It's fine. We can work with that. I'm gonna say if we can get some USB-C Pro Micros, I'd be excited to see those. It's rare I build anything that needs this much in-depth work doing as well. It's usually pre-built boards for me, so pre-built PCBs. So yeah, excited to have a look at it. Unless my eyes are off massively. No, you're right, Wadio. You're right. It's just me not looking properly. Aidan here says, "What's your opinion on polycarbonate boards versus regular aluminium boards?" Sorry, my mouth is dry from shouting at the TV. Jay looking thick. I think you mean fat. So I have a few boards that I have in polycarbonate and aluminium. I tend to prefer the aluminium from a feel perspective, but I prefer the polycarbonate from a sound perspective. One of the most interesting boards I've got, actually, I can't talk about it because it's prototype, but actually has an aluminium top and a polycarbonate base. And that sounds and feels really good. It feels nice and firm and rigid, and it also sounds great. Langalandy has to drop out. It says he loves me and he'll watch the world later. Take care, man. I hope you enjoy it. I apologise if you guys can hear the fireworks in the background. Let me just shut my window. For those of you that don't know, it is going to be Bonfire Night in 2 days in the UK, also known as Guy Fawkes Night, and it's where we celebrate someone trying to blow up the Houses of Parliament, and we celebrate that by lighting fireworks, so that's why you can hear them. First things first though, let's crack on getting these diodes in place. I don't have a fancy diode bender, I'm going to do this just by hand, but we'll be more than fine. So if you guys can see, Cody confirmed earlier on that on the diodes here, you can see there's a square hole at this side and there's a circular hole at this side. We're going to put the diode in with the line on the diode to the square, and then we're going to put the other side of the diode in to the circular hole. I'm just going to pull all those in tight, bend them in the opposite direction to hold it. I'm just going to do that for the whole board, and then we'll go through and solder. Breezion subscribed for 3 months. Thank you very much, Breezion, for the tier 1 sub. I very much appreciate that. Something, remember. Yeah, remember the 5th of November, gunpowder, treason and plots. I see no reason why gunpowder and treason should ever be forgot. I think that's how the rhyme goes. Jack Static subscribed for 7 months and says, "Hey, much love." Thank you very much, man. Much love to you too. And Thunderberg is here as well, saying, "Hey, Jay." Hey, man. Good to see you, dude. Can't think of anything better to celebrate. True. Shame it wasn't successful, but let's not get into to politics. Yeah, let's not talk about politics on stream. Dumb rhyme ends with the incorrect grammar. I think it was written when the words were pronounced differently, Gouty. So as I say, I don't have an IC or diode bender, so I'm just going to bend these myself directly, and we're just going to work our way through the board. That Gengar silk screen, yeah, I wasn't going to mention that on stream. I don't want to fall foul of any Twitch rules, but yes, there is Gengar on the silk screen. There we go. Okay. So just going to really quickly work our way through these. Once these are in the board and in place, we'll solder them in, and that shouldn't take too long to do. Already going to get in trouble with Fox Searchlight for my crossed keys logo. Potentially. I'm sure you'll be fine. At least you guys are aware of this. For the love of God, do them all while they're on the strip and bend them on the edge of a table or ruler or something. No, do them this way. It's much more fun this way. Live on the edge, Gouts. Live on the edge. If you tell me that these don't look neat enough afterwards, then, well, I'll just send my boards to you in the future to solder. Jampot's got to go. Watch the video tomorrow. Yeah, it's a little bit late for the UK folks this week. You can tell Jay never does through hole, Gouts. I rarely do through hole. The Gingham I did quite recently through hole. Yeah, I tend to do more SMD soldering than anything else. Mr. Keeves is here, really excited for the Nightmare. I have a couple here but didn't build them yet. What's the case colour? It's white. Here we go. I just grabbed one, not multiple. Not like you, Mr. Keeves. But yeah, I just grabbed one and in white. I didn't pick the colour though. I let Cody pick the colour. I just said to him, I want to order one. Just tell me which one, or just send me one. Here's the money. And he picked a white one for me, which was very nice of him. It was very clean. Unassembled PCBs are so affordable though. Yeah, I think assembled PCBs are still affordable as well if you're getting the right number of units. They're not prohibitively expensive on the boards that I've run in Group Buy. Having them pre-built is not prohibitively expensive. So I did that on the Hyper 7, the JO1, and we'll be doing it on the JO2 as well. I'd be interested to know what the price difference is between assembled and unassembled PCBs. I can't imagine it's that different. 5 PCs for £30 shipped. Yeah, I mean, if you do 500, you can probably get them assembled for, you know, $20 each, which I don't think is too bad. I think it definitely depends on the board you're doing. I think it's much more premium to have a PCB pre-built. Matt Merlin's here as well, saying he's been considering getting one of these. Well, Mr. Merlin, you should take a look at the board when we've built it, because I'm pretty happy with the quality of it. Okay. Straight Classy is here and says hello, I'm so late. As long as those other switches aren't late, Classy, will be all okay. Not next weekend, but the weekend after. I do have a really interesting build. I can't talk much about it at the minute. I haven't decided what I'm doing next weekend actually, but on the 17th I do have another build for someone else, which is unusual for me to do builds for other people. Most of my builds are for myself. I think I've only done 5 boards this year for other people, and I've streamed every Sunday at least. But this next, well, sorry, on the 17th, I will be building a board for someone else. I have the board already, I'm just waiting on switches and a few other bits and pieces, which Classy is kindly sorting. But I'm dead excited to build that and to try out. The Keepora Flex. I've actually got quite a few on the desk at the minute. So I've got some more here. I don't know if you guys can see that, but I've got some more on the top there. A whole row in there, and I've got another artisan holder in the back that's got another row in there as well. Plus a couple of ETF sets and a few other bits and pieces as well. But yeah, these two are actually new. I got these this week. There we go. Both of those are really rather attractive. Quite nice. Just fell into the Artisans rabbit hole a few weeks ago, already regretting it. I'm not sure if my keyboard collection's worth more than my Artisan collection or not. I really don't know. Yeah, I've always been heavy into the Artisans. I just try not to show it to people. Straight Classy's lubing switches right now. Nice. Petrov's actually, okay. Don't forget to do those with someone else. Actually, I'm not sure if you've even got those switches yet. You might not even have them yet. I think they might be on the way to you. Nightmare has a great spot to flex your 4 artisans. Yeah. I don't know if you guys have seen my board, the JO1. That's actually got 8 slots to do artisans. Although I don't use it for artisans. I rarely actually put artisans on boards. I tend to just keep them in, just for myself, so I can look at them whenever I want to, rather than on any particular board. Nightmare is flat, right? Yes, it's completely flat. Yep. There's no angle in it. Once that someone else actually shipped. I think he's waiting on a certain vendor to ship, actually, Classy. I don't think he's waiting for the shipping directly. Okay, this is not taking anywhere near as long as I'd expected it to be honest. Try not to do a 3-hour stream though. I'll try and keep it under 3 hours, because that'd be midnight for me. Someone donate $2 so Jay can get a diode bender. Hey, there's nothing wrong with the way I bend diodes, it's fine. I don't build enough boards that need diode benders to invest in one, I'm afraid. Sadly, too many boards come with pre-built PCBs and don't offer a challenge like this. Although it would have been nice, I see, because the pads are there for the SMD versions. It would have been nice to have had the option of picking SMD or through-hole diodes. It would have been really nice to have had that option, I think. Fleximan there with the 1,000 bits. Thank you very much, dude. Thank you very much. Love the support. Thank you, dude. Brian and I were talking the other day about how we need to do more for our bit donators, so we might have something coming in the works for that soon. I still like to build those from time to time. Yeah, I like to build boards like this as well. It's rare I get to build boards like this these days. I should buy more boards like this. I think we've done the Romac and the Gingham this year, and that's about it. Where we've needed to do stuff like bend diodes and things. What are your thoughts on GMK Delta? Looking for a first key set to buy to go on my Night Fox. Well, first of all, GMK caps are great. I'm a big fan of GMK caps either way. GMK Delta is quite nice. It's not personally for me. I think I'm going to skip it. Sadly, I just can't buy everything anymore. There's too many key sets that run. But I think it's a really nice set, and I don't think it'll struggle to get anywhere near MOQ. I think it'll do quite well for itself. I think if I was going to buy anything this month, it'd be Analog Dreams. And Bingsu, of course, as well. I haven't picked that up yet, but I do want to pick Bingsu up as well. I think Bingsu will be a bit of a sleeper hit, suspect. It probably won't sell as well as some of the others, but I think it'll do a lot better on the aftermarket. Regulus says, I'm wrapping up a Pro Micro driven through hole Alice PCB. Nice, nice. I actually have 2 acrylic Alices on the way. I've already built a couple of aluminium Alices. I've got a couple of acrylic ones coming now. Yeah, there we go. Still waiting for GMK Yugo? Yes, GMK Yugo does look good. They're opening it on Monday now. Yeah, I saw that. It had been delayed for a couple of days. We were talking about that on the stream on Thursday, as we always do, because it'll be in a group by then. I think everyone's going to build ISO for GMK Yugo, because it's the right thing to do. And Gouty, if you're still watching, dude, you'll be pleased to know that the heck key is on here. I'll show that briefly. There you go, the heck key. There it is. Anakin says you'll need to go for the next year's 2x1800, assuming that it continues with the played style. Yeah, do you know what? One of the things when we did the Hyper 7, we considered doing it as like an open style, like the played or gingham or whatever else you want to call it. We actually considered doing that, and it just we didn't think anyone would buy because it'd be too much effort to do it. 213 switches. Just seems like a lot of work. Hecking nice, yeah. Sorry, sorry, James. It was you, wasn't it? Yes, that gave those out. Yes. I think it was Gavty that got the other one. So many things happened at the meetup last weekend that I can't remember everything. Make a weekend of it. Yeah, stream every day. Do a 24-hour stream. Speaking of which, the 24-hour stream for Mechs on Decks is in a couple of weekends' time, and I'll be joining them for a brief soiree. So feel free to check that out, guys. The meetup was so good. I'm still ill after the meet. The meetup was really good. I really enjoyed it. As always, it was nice to meet a lot of people, see everyone again. Luckily, I wasn't ill. Next UK meetup is probably going to be a lot bigger as well. We're starting to get to the point where even in the UK we can easily sell, you know, double the tickets that we actually have available. So I think we're just going to go a lot bigger next time, which means that the venue won't be quite as intimate, but that's a small sacrifice to pay to have more people available. Okay, almost there now, guys. Making some pretty good progress. Okay, and Anarchy, I hope you get your board working again for the next meetup. I'm pretty sure I saw that you diagnosed the issue with it. Beat. Where's Borden going with this? Or is that as far as he's going? Okay. He's working at his QMK, that was the problem. Ah, okay. Okay, almost there now, guys. Just one more row to go. Is there any way to get a heck key? I don't know. Satanicist was kind enough to give a couple of these out at the meetup. He gave Gouty the one for GMK Coniferous, and he gave me the one for GMK Honeywell. But I think the heck keys are still only available if you find them on Mech Market. I think Grubai ran quite some time ago now. But I'm not one to turn down free accent caps. Almost there now. They introduced a new check that you have to disable for board to work from power bank. Ah, okay. Well, that makes some sense. At least you're able to diagnose it. Okay. Which actually I forgot to ask that as well. So if someone can answer if this board is in QMK, I assume it is. I didn't look. I wasn't going to program it on stream today anyway. It looks like we've got just the right amount of diodes, yeah. I'm going to put diodes on all of the keys anyway, just in case I need to switch keys later on. The colourway of the HSA caps, the only set of full HSA caps that exist right now is the cream on purple. Excellent. It's in QMK, so I can easily program it later on. Yeah, for me to do every single switch with a diode, that is just enough diodes in the packet. So perfect. Otherwise, I would have only needed to do the one for the spacebar that I needed anyway. So we would have been just fine anyway. There would have been a couple spare. But once it's done, it's done. Don't have to worry about it then if I ever do change the board and the layout. Oops. Okay. So that's all of the diodes in position. So as you can see, it's looking a little bit of a mess, but that's fine. We're going to now quickly solder those in place. I'm going to grab my solder. And my soldering iron. There we go. So let me show you the keycaps again because you guys were asking. Here you go. This is the colour of the keycaps. So they're kind of like a creamish off-white with a purple background. But this is the only full set of HSA that exists right now. There isn't any more, so I have to be quite careful with them. Surf Fortuna as well has subscribed for 5 months. Thank you very much for that 5 months of subscription. Very much appreciated, dude. As with all of your support, it's really nice. Yeah, Metalux is nice. It's a little bit darker than this, quite a bit darker in fact. So yeah, tapping on it now. Awesome. Okay, so we're just going to quickly solder all of these points in. We'll work our way through the board, get these in. We'll clip them nice and flush afterwards, and then we can carry on with the rest of the build. I'm just going to do this at a slightly different angle. There we go. Use your solder top side. Okay, yeah, this is top side. Yeah, this is the top of the PCB. So there we go. What soldering iron is that? This is the TS100 soldering iron. Yeah, TS100. It's really nice soldering iron. Just plugged in, heats up straight away, dead easy, great. So there we go. Oh, you mean the top side of the diodes? Okay, you do it on the other side. I usually do it on this side. I've never tried it on the other side. So what you're saying is you solder from this side. Interesting. I've never tried that. Let's give it a go. Let's give it a go. It doesn't appear to be any more difficult at the least, so that's fine. Okay. I'd say I do find the other side just a tiny bit easier, but let's go with this. We'll go with this for now. There we go. This is where you guys that solder this type of board on a regular basis tell me my soldering is crap and I'm only good at through hole, as in switches rather than anything else. And I know I'm very slow. Makes clipping legs easier. Okay, yeah, I'd never had a problem with it, but that's fine. Been doing it wrong the whole time. This of all the colours you offer for the Nightmare. Way better than cheap Animation. Yeah, nice. Cool. I think as well, I've seen that the case files for this board are available as well, so if you guys do want to 3D print your own, you can. I could be wrong on that. Making some good progress here. Okay, now I'm getting into the flow. This is probably a little bit easier on this side. This is why I need to do more in-depth soldering. Probably need to do more SMD soldering as well. Oh, there you go. Nice. Case files and PCB files. Nice. That's really cool. I'm not sure my my 3D printer is big enough to print one of these cases because I only have an Ender 3 working at the minute. My large printer isn't working. What material is it? I would say it's going to be PLA. It feels like PLA. ASA. So I've not tried any ASA. $60 US. Yeah, for the price, this board is absolutely stunning. I could not argue against the price, even if I tried to. It's a very, very fair price. Almost seems like it's a losing money kind of price on this sort of board. Unless you've got industrial 3D print setups, which sadly I don't. I've just got small hobbyist 3D printers. Okay. Expect my order soon. Yeah, guys, get ordering these cases because they're really good. The most reasonable price vendor out there. Yeah, there's lots of great priced acrylic boards and 3D printed boards out there, but this was one of the few that really caught my eye from a price perspective. I was very, very happy with the price. The delivery was quick as well. No issues with the delivery. Cody and I chatted on email a little bit. Always really pleasant, smooth transaction. Yeah, very, very good indeed. Definitely excited to see what else Keyhive comes out with, what other projects they have coming. Almost there now, guys. Just a few more switches to go. Okay. And last one, there we go. This is all of the diodes done. There we go, nice and easy. What colour would you guys get for 9009? A grey, a nice grey might be nice, or a nice black. You could even get some metallic colours, that could be quite nice. If they're only up by mid-December, I'm 100% getting. Yeah, definitely get one, guys. Get one. Have them in stock indefinitely. There you go. Oblivion soon. Yes, I actually have a set of Oblivion just there that I was going to use for another build soon. So yeah, these are really great. Thoroughly enjoying this build so far. It's so rare I get to build something so in depth. I'm just going to straighten up all the pins a little bit now, making me a bit easier to clip. Oops. I would do if I could get hold of them. So once these are all up, we'll clip them all thoroughly, and then once we've clipped them all, we'll then start to look at the rest of the build. Get the IC pins in, and then we can get the switches in place, and then we can put the Pro Micro on last. Hopefully we won't mess it up and have to desolder it. Avid User 2 says, any thoughts on the monochrome Oblivion? It sold quite poor compared to the other base, and I put 1600, 1100 of stock for the coloured ones. Personally, I've always preferred the white Oblivion anyway. I have both sets from the original run, but I vastly prefer the Hagorama alphas to the grey alphas. That being said, I do usually really like monochrome style sets, so I'm surprised that it did so poorly, but either way, I think those that get, you know, as long as people get what they're happy with and they like what they've got, I don't think there's any issues. Monochrome was by far my favourite, and the monochrome mods was expensive on MM. Yeah, oh, so the monochrome specific set, yeah, so the monochrome specific set, I only have one set left of those mods. In the original group buy, I did buy 2, and then it started going for crazy money on Mech Market. I think I gave my set to Future Crime, who did GMK DMG. My spare set at least. Pretty sure that's where it ended up. Got white alphas from my base kits. Yeah, the white alphas is definitely my favourite of the Oblivion base kit colours. And sadly, I'm not a fan of the SA Oblivion. I much prefer GMK. Some sets look better in SA, some look better in GMK. Oblivion is one of those that definitely looks better in GMK. Can't get that leg. We'll come back to it. Oh, maybe we can. There we go. Okay. An example that looks better in SA, for example, is Chocolatier. That definitely looks better in SA. Let's grab some flush cutters, and then we're just going to trim all of these back, keep them nice and flush with the PCB. Okay. Do you have Pro Micro sockets? Definitely recommend them in future. Yes, you included these in the packet, so I shall be popping them in place. Unless you mean something different by Pro Micro sockets, in which case I'm oblivious, and you have to show me what you mean. Okay. So this is much more of a relaxing build process than just soldering switches on a PCB. This actually feels like you're earning the build, but I still get that having a PCB pre-built feels a little bit more premium. So yeah, different strokes for different boards, but this is nice to get back to bare bones and do this. Sockets freezing, moving Pro Micros in case of break. Ah, I see what you mean. I have the desoldering gun anyway, so even if I need to change something, it'll be dead easy to do. I know what you mean now. You mean the hot swap ones? Yes, the Gingham came with hot swap style sockets. Okay. But live dangerously and may as well solder it. Nothing wrong with going all in. After all, these are so well priced that if I need another one, I'm going to do something slightly different, I can quite easily just buy another one because they're a great price. I didn't socket my Nightmare. I believe I'm fine with this. Don't worry about it. I didn't use sockets for the Romac or some of the other builds that I've done, so it's fine. Never used them when I've SMD soldered stuff. Although I do usually use hot air for things like the controller and the crystal and stuff. In fact, Gouty, if you're still watching, was quite impressed with some of my hand soldering quite recently. Okay, almost there now with these. There we go, keep these nice and flush. Very impressed. There you go, you see, guys. Yeah, I don't like to do SMD soldering all the time. It does worry me that I'm going to damage something beyond repair sometimes, but when the job asks for it, it can be done. Okay. Down to the last few switches now, and then we can start to look at getting the Pro Micro sockets installed, and then from there we can put the switches in, and then we can put the Pro Micro on last. Okay, let's quickly get rid of these. Dropping half of them on the floor, half in the bin. There we go, perfect. Clean solder joints, good connections. Could have cleaned off the resin. Oh, there. Well, it was a surprise you even got it soldered, so there you go. Yeah, the desoldering gun makes desoldering anything pretty easy. Okay, there we go, guys. All nicely, neatly soldered. Gouty, feel free to criticise away, but that's all looking rather neat and tidy. And without using the right tools, I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is solder the sockets in place. Again, doesn't really matter which way round these go in, they're the same either way. So we're just going to pop these in and then solder them on. I'm just going to do one at a time. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to solder one pin in first, and then I'm going to make sure it's nice and level with a bit of heat. And then once it's in nice and level, then we'll go from there. So I'm just checking now to make sure it's flush with the PCB and that it's straight. It's slightly off, so I'm just going to heat that up and straighten it as I do. There we go. That's all looking much squarer now. I'll just go through all of these, solder one at once. Come on, solder, flow down. There we go. Okay, there we go. All neatly done on there. Just checking each of those is done. There's one I'm not happy with. The first one up at this top end. Just give that a reflow. And all looking good from there. I'll show you guys that. All looks nice and neat and tidy. Now I'm going to replicate that with the next one. Dixie's here as well. Dixie Mac subscribed at tier 1, subscribed for 14 months and currently on a 3-month streak. Thank you very much, Dixie. Hello, it's DNL is here. DNL, we've not seen you for a long time, man. Welcome back. What's your favourite keyboard layout? I have to say it's 65%. I think just from a usability perspective and everything else, 65% is where it's at for me. Feel free to agree or disagree. It's completely okay. But I definitely prefer 65% board layout. My second is probably 40s, just because of the way they look. I do really like the look and feel of a 40 as well. Okay, so they look kind of vertical there. Looking okay. Just gonna tweak this one a tiny bit. A little bit of heat. Make sure it's seated nicely. Okay. A bit of salt there. There we go. Okay, so that's now all looking good from that perspective. Pretty happy with those. Nice and flush, nice and level. Hard to show you guys because they don't stand out particularly well. There we go. The next thing to do now is to solder the rest of that one, and then once we've done that, we'll move on to stabilizers, popping them in the board, and then we can put in some switches. Okay, and there we go, guys. That's that all soldered into place. Just double check they all look okay. So this one just needs a tiny tweak. That's where it puts too much solder on. There we go. Perfect. Okay. DNL says, yeah, sorry for not being here. Both of my grandmas died of homeless. Oh man, I'm so sorry, dude. I'm so sorry. My condolences go out to you. I'm really sorry. I hope you're doing okay. I hope the family's fine. If there's anything I can do, DNL, please do let me know. Having a loss is not easy. Jay's favourite layout is 65% ANSI Kappa. So I'm going to just say something here, right? I like 65%. To me, the layout is 65% TKL, full size, 1800, mini 1800, 40%, whatever it is, you name it. ISO and ANSI are just two different ways of cutting out the enter. You know, you can take a big ass enter and you can cut it up in a couple of different ways. One of them is ANSI, one of them is ISO, and the third one is to have everything split. They're the same layout. 65% is the same whether it's ISO or ANSI. It's still 65%. And there we go. Hot take done. So defensive. No, I'm not defensive. I'm just completely... when it comes to ANSI and ISO, BAE, GIS, whatever else you want, I'm completely ambivalent in terms of what people want to use. That's the main thing. Not defensive. Completely ambivalent is the word, Mr. Petrov. Okay, so there we go. That's the Pro Micro done. The next thing we're going to do is just tweak these stabilizers. So, as I say, these have been taken from a build before. So the first thing I'm going to do is just remove the screws from the base. We're going to then just take the wire for a 7U space bar, move that over, and then we're just going to re-lube it. It's already been clipped and everything else, so we don't need to worry about that. There we go. That's one side done. There we go. Okay, so now we're going to pop that into the board. There we go. Screw that down. And then we can lube it a little bit more. Now bear in mind that these have already been lubed before. I'm just going to be topping the lube up, which is, sorry, it's not Crytox at all. It's just dielectric grease on these stabilizers. And as I say, we're using them from a previous build, which is where the switches come from as well. Okay, there we go. So I'm just just going to get my trusty lube bottle. And we're just going to fill the switch with lube. Dielectric grease here, guys. No such thing as too much dielectric grease, really. Both in the front and in the back. Okay. There we go. That should be just fine. Only stabilizer on the board. One stabilizer, perfect. Great for a build. Acidic Pure says, hey, got carried away playing the Outer Worlds and forgot the stream. Feels bad, man. You play your game, man. You play that game. Yeah, but showed on the bottom of your rain. I don't have it to hand. It's in a box at the side. So, in true fashion, like I mentioned earlier on, guys, when I bought this from Keyhive, I said to Cody, just pick a colour for me. I'm not going to pick a colour myself. You just give me whatever colour you think. And when Satanicus did the acrylic rains, I did the same to him. I said, just, you know, you pick a colour for me. Pick any colour you like. Whatever you want to do, just go with that. And I actually did the same thing with Switch Couture quite recently as well. And Satanicus also offered through his laser cutter some options to engrave the bottom of the board. People were paying a few pounds extra, British currency, a few dollars extra, and having a design put on the bottom of the board. I said to him, just go away and put whatever you want on the bottom of the board. You pick a logo for me, you pick the colour for me. I'm sure it'll be fine as long as it's not going to offend anyone on stream. What I ended up with was a pink rain with a ANSI Forever logo on the bottom, or something. I can't remember the exact words, but basically pronouncing my love for ANSI keyboards. So there we go. ANSI Master Race, that's it. ANSI Master Race. I knew it was something like that. There you go. Okay, so that's the stabilizers put into the board. It's now time to get onto the switches. An hour in, and we're only just putting switches on the board. First thing I'm going to do is just line up everything, make sure it looks okay. So you can see from a stabilizer perspective, that looks just fine there. It fits quite nicely in between the switches. We're going to now just start to put some switches in place. Okay, clipping nicely. Make sure we can push these into the PCB nice and neatly. There we go. Okay, that's going to work just fine. Okay. Just going to work our way around the rest of the board, making sure everything's clipped together nicely, pushed together, and we can go and crack on with soldering the switches. Melodet's here as well, subscriber to Twitch Prime, says, well, at least I didn't miss much. No, you just missed an hour of me soldering diodes. That's all you missed, Melodet. So welcome to the stream, and thank you very much for joining us. Interesting as well, this does support switch top opening, which I'm surprised at, because most 3D printed cases don't. So, Cody, I'm not sure if that was a conscious decision, or if it was just something that happened as part of the design. Did you see the green ISO enter in camping? Very cool. I didn't. Have you got a link? I'll definitely take a look at that. Semi-conscious. Ooh, interesting. Interesting. What do you mean by semi-conscious? Just the way I designed it. I was using the old swivel plate generator. Ah, I see. Okay, let's take a look at the ISO enter, the green ISO enter. Oh, nice. That looks pretty good. The thing is, okay, so camping needs to do one of two things. Either move to full UK ISO, which would be great, or stop having the pipe / key for both the R4 and the R3 key on ISO. Because having two of the same key just feels disingenuous to me. You know, it just feels weird having it in two spaces. So I would, if they fix that and change that, then I would be a very, very happy chap. It's one of the few GMK sets I don't own, actually. I'm sure he meant to use the correct wheel settings. Nice. Have you guys seen that the AIO3 has a plate builder now as well? Because that's usually a little bit easier and is what I tend to use when I'm looking at plates. So there you go. If base gets sold plus 1k, he added it. Nice. Handsome 2. Fair enough. Don't like contrast enter usually. You like the German symbol? Yeah, so if you put the R4 key as the German symbol, which is the two chevrons pointing in opposite directions, and then the pipe tilde key on the R3 key, that's fine as well. Just don't like having the same key twice. I would much rather have two separate keys, two different keys. AO3 is awesome too. Yeah, his plate build is really good. Even I can use that, which is saying something. So yeah, I really enjoy his plate tool. He's a solid dude. Designed the UT47.2 for me. Nice man, nice. Are you getting phosphorus? Sadly, no. I just can't justify buying every single GMK set anymore. You know, last year I could. It was quite easy to buy every GMK set because it tended to be one, maybe two a month. So it wasn't too much of a problem. This year, when we've got 10, 12 sets running, I'm having to be really picky. So for me, the October month was Cafe and Bingsu. Those were the two I chose. This month, well, it's going to be a tough choice, but this month I think it's going to be Analog Dreams. What language uses the double? So US ISO doesn't use two keys. So US ISO uses the ISO enter up here. So it uses, let me show you. So US ISO uses the enter key here, and then it has pipe / here. But then over at the other side, it actually has a full shift here rather than splitting it. So that's why you move this key from here, the pipe / key to there, because on ANSI it's here. So you move from there to there for ANSI and put the ISO enter in, and on ISO UK it's moved over here. Again, it's just a preference kind of thing. But I just don't want those two keys to have the same legend on them. I don't mind if it's not going to support UK ISO. I don't care what legends they have, as long as they're different. That's kind of where I see it. US ISO is technically correct to have the pipe / here, but no one uses that in US ISO. There's far more Norda UK users, so that's German and UK users. So yeah. The switches coming in well. They're holding in okay. They're much firmer in the PCB than they are into the plate, I'll be honest. There's some wiggle in some of them on the plate, so once they're in the PCB they're alright, but if I just put them into the plate there'd be a little bit of movement. I would probably recommend for 3D printed cases getting rid of the switch top removal just to make sure that they hold in a little bit nicer. But these are fine once they're into the PCB. I just imagine you'd have a little bit of problem with alignment if you used plate mount switches. There's definitely a difference between there's definitely a difference between some of the pressure needed to put some of the switches in. Some are going really easy, like that one. The previous one to that was quite tight. But I don't think there's any problem. I think I just would recommend using plate mounts, PCB mount switches rather than plate mount switches. I wouldn't want to use box switches on this, for example. I think alignment, you'd probably just want to solder one pin on each switch and then go back through. Okay, last switch. There we go. Okay, I'm just going to make sure everything's nice and neatly aligned and pressed in. Make sure all of the switches are fully into the PCB. Okay, yeah, so some of them are going to need just a little bit of pressure to hold them in. So I'm not sure if you guys can see, but that switch just there isn't all the way through, but if I just pinch it, it is. So what I'm going to have to do is just put a little bit of pressure as I'm soldering these and just make sure that they go in nicely. So I'm probably just going to solder some around the outside, a couple in the middle first, and then we'll go row by row after that. So this top row is fine, there's no issues with these, so I'm just going to quickly solder that one there. I'm going to then move over to this side, that's looking okay as well. So I'm just going to put some solder on that one. You can then start to see here that the switch isn't fully inserted, but if I just push it becomes fully inserted. So all I'm going to do is just push down whilst I add some solder, and then there we go, that's fine for the second one, it's held in place now. Just come back over to this side. Again, just needs some pressure, just while I add some solder to one pin, let that cool. Okay. And then now I'll just do some in the middle. So again, just some pressure, just while I solder that pin and that pin. They're looking good. Okay. Everything else looks just fine. I'm just going to add a little bit of pressure anyway, just for that bit there. Okay, everything should be held together now fine. All of the switches are pressed through as they'd expect to be. So it's all looking good. I'm just going to solder through the board now. Just double checking that we've got all the pins showing through for each switch before I start to solder it. This one. There we go. Okay. DNL loves the ISO board that I built for him. Thank you very much, man. Thank you. I think that was that a KVD67 or was it? I think it was. Any thoughts on the Sharkbait set? Yeah, it's a little bit too bright for me. It reminds me a lot of GMK. Oh gosh, what's the set that Candy Keys ran now that was based on the cockpit of a fighter pilot jet? Can't remember the name of it. Candy Keys ran a set a while back, which was based on the cockpit of a certain fighter jet during a certain war, and it reminds me of a lighter version of that. But I think it's a fine set. Again, not one for me. I just need to be a lot more choosy these days. At one time, I wouldn't have even hesitated to get it. I am starting to consider just getting sets that offer full UK ISO support going forwards, though, and eschewing all others. I'm not sure how that'll go, but we'll see. Making some good progress now. Just the Pro Micro left to solder after we've done these switches, and then we can move on to screwing the board together and popping some keycaps on. Fishbed, yes, that's the one. GMK Fishbed. Couldn't recall the name of that. Okay. Making some good progress now, that's already done. Okay, Nebula says it reminded me of GMK Aero. Oh gosh, I'd forgotten about that set. That was the Windows themed set, right? Based on the Windows XP Aero theme. I don't think I've even seen a set of that in real life. Oh, no switch there. I don't know why I'm trying to solve that. Okay. Okay. And there we go. That's the board soldered. Some people have mentioned tolerances on fitting the screws through the holes. Yeah, so I was going to talk about that actually. That was one thing I was going to mention. So when we get to that, I'll talk about that. Skeletor is great as well. So just in terms of some of the screw holes, so you can see here that one lines up quite well. I don't know if you guys can see through, maybe not, but it does line up quite well with the hole underneath the PCB. Yeah, it's not showing through, but that one lines up quite well, as does this one and this one, this one and this one. In fact, actually they all line up pretty okay. They shouldn't be too much of a problem screwing those into the base, as long as the tolerances line up with the base. But we'll check that when we've finished the soldering. Okay, so now we've got all of those in place. The next thing to do is to solder on the Pro Micro. Now this is where I'm going to need you to confirm which way around this goes. So I'm pretty sure that I'm going to be putting it in this way around. So I'm going to be putting the components on the inside of like so, but you can tell me if that's wrong. Correct? Yeah, okay, correct. And then I just need to work out how deep I need to solder it right. Okay, so it needs to be pulled away slightly. And this is where I'm going to struggle to get it fully aligned. Okay. TX0 and raw. Gotcha. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah, okay. So for what he meant here is just on here, TX0 and raw just on this side. They match up with the same symbols on the top of the Pro Micro, so I can just slide that on. It doesn't want to be fully in as far as I can tell. Effectively between the top and the bottom case, what we're looking at here is we've got that much gap. So we've got about 4 or 5 millimeters. So I just need to make sure that that's mirrored there. Pushed fully down, that doesn't seem to be the right tolerance. It might be. Look at them screws all over the place here, guys. Now the reason why the case won't go together at the minute is because the pins on the bottom of the Pro Micro are too long. It's holding the bottom of the case off. Yeah, so it's not going to quite work there, so I just need to pull it forwards a little bit. Just something like so. That should fit nicely. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably just going to solder 1 or 2 pins at that position, and then just test that again. Okay. Dasher and Dancer and GMK would be nice. Wouldn't work, I don't think. It just wouldn't feel right. Some sets work in GMK, some sets work in SA, some sets work in both. Okay, so I'm just going to solder 2 pins on this. Just like so. Going to have a look, let's see if we've got that broader level. We don't. Just need to drop it down a little bit here. Oh, that's much better. Okay. I'm just going to try and gauge the depth. Okay. Okay, so it should be okay there. Okay, Harjo's here as well, saying oh whoa. Do you know what? I'm actually going to go for it. I'm just going to push it all the way down. I hope it's fine. I do feel like that's going to be just a touch too close though. That might be alright there. Okay, let's go for that. Okay, it's just going to solder each side of this now. almost there now, guys. It's one side done. I'm just going to come through and do the other side now. After drop, so far so good. Best of luck. Thank you very much, Cody. Very nice to meet you, and thank you for being a sport. And thank you very much again for the Twitch subs as well, dude. Thank you, dude. Okay. There we go. Okay, that's all of those nicely done. Kids just woke up from the nap, so I got to drop 2. Enjoy the build. Hopefully you'll like the final product. I'm sure I will. Thank you very much for that, dude. Just going to clip all these flush now. These don't fire off at a pace when you hit them just right. It's starting to sting my fingers a little bit. Almost there though. There we go. Awesome. So there we go, all clipped nice and easily. That should now fit into the case. Do we know what the next Mascrop GM case that will be? I don't think we do at the minute. I think they've got a few other things on. So now the case all fits together. The USB port is just slightly off. I'm just going to quickly trim away some of the inside edge of the USB port itself, just to make it fit a little bit flusher. Beauty of 3D printed things that you can do stuff like this quite easily. So for all my measuring previously, that didn't quite work out. There we go. Pop that back together. Still needs a tiny tweak. No, that fits nice and flush, so you can see that all looks good from that perspective. Nice and easy to get through to the cable. Again, just clean up all these bits. Wife will have me vacuum up again if I don't. There we go. Scalpel, the most underrated keyboard building tool. Absolutely, always need a good scalpel. So the next job now is to screw in the case screws. I'm going to over tighten these. I don't want to pull it apart too much, but here we go. Okay, everything tightened up nicely so far. Last couple of screws. Pilot X-Ray says, before you fasten it, you can take a look at my question a few minutes. Sorry. I have issues with stabilizers in my nightmare. The plate won't sit properly over 2 or 7 new stabs. Can you show the spacing between the plate and the PCB, please? Does the plate touch the stabs? Okay, so sorry, I didn't realise you'd asked a question. I do apologise. But you can see here that there's quite enough room for the stabilizer to move. Anyway, if I do the other one, you might be able to see a bit better. Works just fine on the 7U version. Here as well, looks okay. Sorry, I didn't realise you'd asked that question. I do apologise. Okay, tolerances on this screw are a little bit out of whack. Screw won't go in the hole. Oops. Just going to widen that out a little bit. Beauty of 3D printed cases. Just widen up the holes whenever you need to. So there's a small issue here. I'll probably have to take the case apart later on. Not sure if you guys can see, but there's a little bit of, I should have checked this before the fitment of the case. There's a bit here in the corner that's just causing it not to sit flush. It's just causing it to raise a little bit. Just needs sanding off. I think there's a slight bit of bowing to it as well, but a little bit of glue, be all good and fine. I don't want to over tighten anything. That's all looking just fine. Reach out to Cody about it. I think mine is out of spec, either that or I'm smooth brain. Yeah, so I think the thing is though, if it's not quite working, you can quite easily just use a scalpel and cut away a little bit if you need to on the board, if it's not working properly. But it looks like the tolerances for mine are just fine. That's on a 7U spacebar. I do need to just do some tweaks to get the case to sit flush. I'm probably going to clamp and glue this once I'm comfortable with the layout and the programming and everything else. So I think that's fine from that perspective as well. There we go, that's the board all put together now. I guess the next test is to see if the PC recognises it. So let's get our cable. So also just turn our solder iron off. There we go. Okay. Best Fwen is here as well. Good evening, good sir. Well, I'm sure you guys heard that. So let's jump on switch hitter. Let me get that up so you guys can see it as well. There we go. Okay, so let's. It's shown as a Arduino Pro Micro. So this is probably where I need Wax to confirm how I'm supposed to use the board. Again, it's a long time since I've used a Pro Micro, but the board's definitely recognised by the PC. You can see that directly. I'm having an issue on a key under the Pro Micro. These are my biggest challenge. Still working on soldering a micro. Yeah, so that luckily I did that the right way around. I put the key in first, did the switch, and then put the Pro Micro Okay, so the PC recognises it. I probably just need a driver issue, but we'll sort out that later on. At least you can hear it works. You guys can hear that, so I'm comfortable we'll be able to get that program later on. But now it's time to take a look at the keycaps. And what we're going to use today is the prototypes from mykeyboard.eu. You guys can see up here of HSA keycaps. So yeah, really looking forward to showing you guys this. Can you order single keys with GMK in specific colorways? You can if it's colorway you own, Enemy's Friend. If it's not a colorway you own, probably not. Or if it's not a public colorway, then yes. HSA is a new profile hard drive, yes. And this this set of keycaps I have here is the only set of HSA keycaps that exists to the full set at the minute. So I apologise. I'm just going to mute my mic for 1 second while I tip these out. Otherwise, it's there you go, guys. Who says I can't be considerate? So HSA is a shiny version of ABS plastic, and it's basically half SA in height. If it focuses, there we go. You can see it's nice and shiny ABS plastic, and it's roughly about half the height of standard SA keycaps. You can see here on the N on the bottom row, it's about the height of a cherry cap, but it has the SA sculpt to it. So we talked about these before on stream. We've shown them up close by and stuff like that. So these are prototypes. If you do see any issues, guys, I have a list that I'm going to send over to the Necros to talk about them. So sprue marks is one. There's quite a few sprue marks that need tidying up, but for a prototype set, that's completely fine. But yeah, let's try some of these keycaps out. Let's see what they fit and look like. There we go. Try and put anything I'm not going to need to one side. Maybe need that. Won't need that. Maybe. I can't remember half of the stuff that I need on this board and don't need, so maybe. Maybe. What's the keycaps on the left keep? So this one is GMK Honeywell. Interesting. Is my keyboard doing the development, design, etc., or something they buy in? So it's all JTK. So there you go. Necroman's in the chat now. There we go. We just help them with fine tuning. So yeah. So Necro, you asked me to give you some feedback on anything I noticed. The first thing I noticed is that some of the legends are nice and thick, like this one on the caps lock key. That's quite a nice thick legend. Some of the other ones are quite thin. So there's a little bit of inconsistency with the legend size. I'm sure you guys can see that, especially on the U there on page up. So the U on this keycap is kind of thin compared to the others. Most of them are like the caps lock key though, so you can see the control is very good in terms of its legend as well, but it is still slightly thinner. So I'm not sure if this is what they should be like and this one's just a little bit thick, or how that works, but just some stuff like that. This is something they're aware of. Excellent, yeah. Enemy's Friend says scroll lock key. When I find it, I will show you it. Don't need number keys, might need a menu key. Shouldn't need that escape key because it's a large profile. Just going to try and sort through the keys that we might need here, guys, and then we'll go from there. Okay, no number here. Might need the control B. Okay. I will say though that I hope that this colour runs when the ISO keys are available, because these keycaps look great in this colourway. Whoops. And I have to be honest, they do feel really premium as well. When you're actually touching them to type on them, the actual feel of them is really premium. They're not slippery as such, they're quite grippy even though they're so shiny. So let's see the scroll lock key, hopefully that'll come up. I imagine that they would scratch quite easily, so I don't know if Necroman, if you can confirm that these are going to come in JTK trays or if they're going to be on their own, but I would be a little bit worried about them in a bag. These aren't scratched yet, but I could imagine they would do quite easily, especially in transit overseas. Maybe, no, won't need that. It needs a stabilizer. Ah, yes, okay. So, enemy's friend, here you go. This is the scroll lock key. So for those of you that haven't realised what the difference is here, it should be SCRLK for scroll lock, but it's SRCLK, so the legend's wrong, that one. Will be fixed. There we go. Source lock, maybe it's source lock, but there we go, yeah. So I think someone spotted that in the renders, Necroman, and they just wanted me to check. But there is the keycap as well. Okay. So I'm starting to get a good chunk of the keycaps out that we might need here. Stepped control, great key. Always good to see that in these sets. So for those that you don't know about these keycaps, effectively they are SA keycaps that have been halved in height. So they are half the height, give or take, of any standard SA keycap, but the sculpt is the same broadly. There might be some slight variations because they are different molds and that kind of stuff, but they are pretty much identical in terms of the sculpt itself. I'm not noticing any other legend inconsistencies. Everything else is looking quite good. Don't need that. Oops. Maybe need that. And I've got way more keys here than I need. I'm just not sure what modifier sizes and stuff that I do need. So, one of the other things I did notice as well is that the legend thickness on the F keys compared to the number keys is quite considerably different. Again, I'm sure that's a known issue. Blank keycaps as well. Interestingly, it looks like the blank keycaps do a secondary shot rather than actually just doing a blank keycap. That looks like a very much a same coloured shot inside, which is quite interesting. Okay. Max key SA sets have that too. Yes. Capitalised font, yes. Okay. I'm Visored, says, how's it going? It's going well. Thank you very much for joining the stream, dude. Okay, just moving the keycaps that I don't need to one side. Shouldn't need any row 1 keycaps here. For those that you don't know as well, this keycap set was on the Iron 165 that I took to the UK meetup last weekend. So I've had these keycaps a week without using them, which I used them on the Iron for a couple of days, but then I had to ship that back, sadly. So it's really nice to actually get these back on a board. Okay, I think we've got pretty much all of the choice we're going to need now. JTK cap, nice, always good inclusion. Branded logo. I'm surprised that GMK don't do that more often. Put GMK keycaps in their sets. You'd think that they would. Nothing else I'm noticing from a legend perspective. There might be some more details in there. I think it's definitely the caps lock keys that look a little bit thicker as well, because that one looks quite thick too. So it might be just the way the caps lock ones are being done, if that focuses on the keycap itself. Come on, there we go. Again, quite thick lettering. Not bad, it's nice. I think it'd be nice if they were all that thick. Okay, insert, you can see that's also quite thick lettering. In fact, it almost overruns into each other on that key. If it focuses. There we go. Put that at the side of it, you can see it's still quite thick lettering, but a lot closer, the kerning's closer together on that cap than it is on this one. Just interesting to note little consistency things like that. Okay, so there we go, guys. That's all of those sorted out. So I'm going to go with... That's not the right profile. Wrong size as well. Okay, let's see. We must have an Alt key. There we go. And then I want a Control key for this side. And then I'm just going to go with... right, and if I can find the left one, I'll go for the left on the other side. Can't see it. We'll come back to that. Okay, let's go through the letters then. Okay. The thicker font. How do they sound? They sound quite good actually on a board. I'm visored. These are vintage blacks with 125 gram springs. Did you join the TMO V2? I had a chat with UPass about me joining the TMO V2, so I hope he hasn't forgot that conversation. 2 N keys, interesting. 2 N keys. D, F, G, H, J, K. F. Two N keys, as I said before. It's a 0 key. Okay, almost there now, guys. Just missing the I key. There it is. Okay. Still looking for the left key. I know it definitely exists because it was on the other board. It'll turn up, we'll get there. So yeah, this is where I should have sorted out these keycaps before I put them on the board. But I was lazy before the stream, watching the Formula 1 and all of that kind of good stuff. I think you can agree, guys, this looks quite nice as a keycap set on the board. 2 Z keys. Well, N. The sculpt shows that it's an N key, so yeah, 2 N keys. You can see there from the sculpt, it's definitely an N. There we go. Okay, now we just need to find modified keycaps that fit in terms of the size that we need. So these are probably going to be the wrong row, just because of the way that this board is. Control in there. Put an FN key here. As I say, I'm not too worried about these keys being the correct keys. And you know what, we'll put some artisans just on here because why not? In fact, let's go for the 2 new Kipuras. And then let's pick some others that match a little bit better. Okay, let's put another couple of these on here. Maybe go for this one. And something purple to match the rest of the board. There we go. Okay, just one more key needed. There is the left key on here somewhere. I had it earlier on. I'm sure I saw it. It'll turn up. It was definitely here because it was on the other the other day. We'll go with the up key if we can't find anything else. Let's just go with up for now. There we go. It's fine. It doesn't matter. It doesn't all have to be perfect. I think you'll agree, guys, that these keycaps look pretty damn good, especially in that high gloss finish. Nice and shiny all the way through. Board looks pretty good. As I say, I just need to trim that corner underneath there. It's just inside the case. It's just stopping it nipping together tightly. Last thing I want to do is break anything by screwing it over too tight, so I'll just sand that down later on. But yeah, it looks really, really good. Below the mouse. Below the mouse. I've moved them all around now, haven't I? So someone had eagle eyes. It's fine. I can find it later on. It's fine. I'll find it later on. Thank you very much, guys, for transfer. There it is. There it is. We found it. We found it. Well spotted, whoever that was. There we go. Euonymy with Kippura Flex. Nothing wrong with a few Kippuras. It looks pretty nice. I think you'll agree the top Kippura matches this set really well, actually. Looks really nice on this board. It matches the whole thing. Let's catch up with chat, see what you guys have been talking about. That top Kippura is such a good match. This couch, yep, I agree. Is this HSA Melody? Yes, it is. Vogon says hi Jay. Hi Vogon, good to see you, my dude. Borden says turnip. Thanks, Borden. Gary says it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. I really like how they look. Yeah, these are really nice. They feel so nice as well to use. We'll do a bit of a typing test in a second. And the Gateron Blacks have cherry stems. Yes, they do. Yes, Gateron Blacks do have cherry stems. Was that kit on one of your boards at the meetup? Chris says yes, it was. That was on the Iron 165 at the meetup, which sadly isn't my board. I had to send that back. Hydro likes the shine as well. Any chance you could compare their sound to some rando GMK keys on the same board? Briefly, yes. So let me grab some GMK keycaps. So what I'll do is after this, Mr. Petrov, once I've done the typing test of this, I'll just replace 3 or 4 keys here with some GMK keycaps, and then you can see if they sound different. Okay. Are we definitely buying HSA later this month? Yeah, I'm definitely going to be picking up a set. Absolutely. If it wasn't so shiny, it would have been easier to spot. Yes, absolutely. Switches definitely sound better lube, but don't overlube them. A red drag board doesn't come lube, no. Wax says he loves the sound of 3D printed cases. Nice. Cool, okay. So, thought it was, but didn't click. The Iron, though, can't believe how much you weighed. Yeah, the Iron is a really heavy keyboard. Really heavy. Okay, great. Okay, so we've caught up with chat. Let's mute the music. Let's give this a try and see what you guys think. Please ignore my typing. I'm not the best typist. For those that are new to stream, I don't type with correct style, with correct poise, with correct finger positioning, or anything like that. But it works for me. So, yeah, let me just go with it. Let's move that to the side there. Okay, so this is a HSO profile on vintage black switches, lubed with Krytox 104 and 106, 125 gram springs in a Keyhive Nightmare 3D printed case. Okay, so that sounds pretty good. In terms of feel, it feels exactly like a tray mount board would. That it's really firm and quite unforgiving from that perspective, but that's what I like in a board. I'll catch up with you guys and see what you're saying in chat in a second. It's pretty firm, but I like that. It feels really nice. It feels a lot more solid than I was expecting a 3D printed case to sound. In terms of sound from itself, it actually sounds very similar to polycarbonate boards. So whilst the plastic's quite different, it does sound very similar to polycarbonate in terms of how the case sounds. I'd be interested to try this with something like a metal plate screwed into it or something like that, see how that felt, rather than have it necessarily be screwed into the base and have it as tray mount. If you could have this as top mount, so just some screws to go upwards into the case, that'd be quite interesting. We'd probably use self-tapping screws rather than threaded inserts or anything like that. Oh, and Mio Go 11, thank you very much. I think that's Lightning 9 as well, or 11, sorry, Lightning 11, sorry, is rating with a party of 28. Thank you very much, Lightning, appreciate that. Yeah, I think these are pretty cool. Is there room for sound dampening inside it? I don't think it needs it, it's not particularly loud. I'm very much waffles or pancakes. Is that even a question? Depends on whether you're giving me ice cream or maple syrup. You know, it all depends on what's going with them. So there we go. HSA profile, yeah, half SA profile. I really like the keycaps. I think the keycaps sound great. I think the keycaps are fantastic. They feel great. They look great. I think the board feels great for a travel board. It's really robust. It's really firm. There's no flexibility in the case at all. It's really solid. The soldering job was nice and easy. It was easy to do. I need to figure out the programming of it, but that shouldn't be too difficult to do. Yeah, I'm really impressed for the price. For $60 or whatever this was, plus switches, plus keycaps, that's pretty damn good. Yeah, the keycaps work well. You can see the SA profile here as well. So you can see that that's the wrong key actually. I shouldn't be showing you from that side. I should really take the edge keys off and show you here. But you can see the SA profile coming down the keys here. It's got the correct SA curve. But yeah, really good. I'm really impressed with this board for the price. And the keycaps, really good as well. So I think if you guys are interested, mykeyboard.eu HSA is on sale now. I think it's on sale with novel keys as well, if that's right, for white on black. But I want this set to run, so Necroman, if you guys are watching, I want the purple and white Legends to run with the ISO keys when that becomes available. Let's catch up with chicken on waffles. Oh man, I had chicken on waffles when I was at the Seattle meetup. That was an interesting breakfast. Do some potato waffles with ice cream. Well, potato waffles are very different. That's not what people are talking about here. Whipped cream and strawberry jam on waffles. Tremendous value. For Mr. Pedro, for the price, this is insane. I can't believe something this cheap can be this good. I'm really impressed. Spacebar feels and looks good as well. No issues from that perspective. Sounds good on the bottom out, nice and clacky, but no rattle. Sounds really good. Really impressed with the board. J420 says HSA versus CAT. I'd want to try it on a full board with ISO to be 100% certain, because that's what I'm most comfortable. But I think it's going to lean to HSA over CAT, especially if the legend inconsistencies that we talked about earlier on are fixed. As I said, there's a couple of things. Some of the legends are not quite there. Some are thicker than others. So the caps lock key, for example, is thicker than the page up key. So I showed this earlier on, but you can see that quite clearly. The legend's quite different, but that is being fixed. Necroman's confirmed that. You know, the kerning looks quite good apart from on one key, which is the INS key. I think it's in there somewhere. In fact, it's here. So the kerning looks really good on backspace, for example, but on INS it's quite crushed together. So that's the only other thing there. And then the scroll lock key is spelt incorrectly. And there is still some sprue marks on some of the bottoms as well, where there's a little bit of overhang plastic that needs trimming off. But other than that, that's minor things, and these are prototype set. This is the only set that exists. So, you know, really excited to see that. Dixie's setting up the beige on brown. Yes, I forgot the beige on brown was running as well. So what's the name of this? So the board itself, Yui, is the Nightmare, which is a TMO50 style layout board, and the Nightmare is available from keyhive.xyz. So it's Keyhive here. That's the website you need to go to, keyhive.xyz. $60 or so, and you got the whole PCB, all the diodes, the Pro Micro, everything you need to put the board together, apart from the switches, keycaps, and stabilizers, which you need to add yourself. You know, you could have a really good board for $100 here with just some cheap switches and some cubic keycaps, for example. Really good board, really impressive. Wax, yeah, guys, big shout out to the Keyhive guys. So Wax and Cody, and there is another one, Wriggles, I think it was, something like that. Thank you very much, guys. I really appreciate the board and everything else. It's really good. Caffeine Connoisseur says, what if you get maple syrup ice cream? Could be a thing. I think it is. I'm pretty sure I've had that before. Pretty sure I have. In which case I will have both waffles and pancakes. Necroman says, people curse me for picking the purple. I really like the purple. I think it looks great. How good does that look, guys? The purple is really nice, right? Really nice. Asari says, that looks awesome, especially for $60. For the price, it's absolutely unbelievably good. Unbelievably good. Purple's beautiful. Yeah, purple is really good. Really happy with that. Okay, so I think that's it for the stream, guys. I've got very little else to do on here. The build's looking good. I'm going to use this keyboard for a couple of days and report back on it. Oh, GMK comparison. Yes, sorry. Let me do a quick GMK comparison. Sorry, Mr. Petrov. Yes, you are absolutely spot on. I'm just going to put in one row here and do a side-by-side 3 keycap to 3 keycap test for you. Just need to try and get all same row keycap, so I'm probably going to go with row 1 because I've probably got more of those in here. There we go. Okay, so this is the HSA. This is the GMK. Puffing it up says, do I also like full SA? I don't, it's too steep. I like the look of it, but not to type on. HSA actually sounds better than GMK on this particular board. Should we do a real test, actually, guys? Let me unplug this keyboard and let's do a test on another board that's fully built as well. Let's just put 3 HSA keycaps on here, and let's do this test again. So this is a E6.5 polycarbonate with polycarbonate plate. So GMK first. HSA is definitely more thocky. I think it sounds great on both boards. I think it actually sounds arguably better than GMK on both boards as well. So, colour me very impressed in terms of the board itself and how it sounds. Yeah, I wasn't picking rows particularly. I mean, what I could do, Mr. Pedro, if you would like, for next week's stream is I could have 2 boards that are identical, with one with GMK, one with HSA, and you can make your pick from that. Should probably use the same row to compare. Yeah, all right, okay, I probably should do, but I've done the comparison and fulfilled the duty that I promised I would do, and I've thrown the keys that I need in here somewhere. There we go. And I put the K on backwards. There we go. Okay, there we go. But I think that sounds really good. That was great. It tells me enough anyway. Buying beige on brown, which I think is better than the white on black. Actually, the beige on brown is really good. Really good. Talisman Solutions gifted a tier 1 sub to Necroman. Thank you very much, Talisman. 202 now. And because I built this board, I didn't get to do the counter rotation and all that stuff. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Got through a whole tub of cookie dough, Ben and Jerry's all watching. Nothing wrong with that, man. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, guys, so I hope that was good. I think this is really good. Keyhive, check them out, guys, because for this price, this bud is absolutely insane. I'm really happy with the spend on this one. I think it looks great. Just need to tweak the case a little bit to get it to fit together a bit more and then program it. But I think it looks fantastic. Yeah, there's a side angle so you guys can see. As I say, it's not quite screwed together properly. It's a 2-minute job to fix that. Some slight under extrusion issues here. I don't know if that's showing up on camera. But overall, the 3D print quality is pretty damn good, pretty impressive. Very, very happy with that indeed. So there we go. So check out Keyhive, guys. That's the sticker. Keyhive.xyz is the website. Thank you very much to MyKeyboard.eu for sponsoring the stream and sending over the HSA caps for me to take a look at as well. It's really cool of you guys to do that. So yeah, there we go. I'm going to call it there for the stream, guys. 2 hours and 6 minutes, I think, is long enough for a build stream. Thank you very much for those guys that you stayed with me. I will see you all later. Go buy Keyhive Nightmare. Go look at the HSA that's available on Novel Keys, MyKeyboard.eu, and DixieMech, and whoever else the other vendors are. Beige on brown is probably the better of the two colorways in my view, and I'm hoping that I can convince Necromancer in this purple at some point as well, because I want the ISO keys. Thanks very much, guys. I'll see you all again soon, and take care. See you now. Bye bye.